Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Friday. It is come again. Man, just the weeks fly by right now. Um, it is a chilly morning, uh, 39 degrees, but the temperature is going to be dropping down into the 30s for most of the morning. Wintry mix expected. 6:48 is the sunrise and 7:02 is the sunset. And it is Friday, and on Friday I pray that we all make it to church. We all just are at a Bible preaching church where the scriptures are read and Jesus uh, jumps off the pages, and our hearts are convicted by the word, and we're sanctified, right? And he washes our feet, right? He brings us one step closer to him, right? One step closer to him. And so we've been in a study of John, and we're in John chapter 13, and we're at the Lord's Supper, and I'm trying to put this into order. And in order to do that, we have to look at all the Gospels together, right? And so, um, before the foot washing takes place, they have to come to the house, right? They have to find where they are going to have this this Passover meal, and so that's in Matthew, right? Matthew 26:20. They find the house. Then John 13, right, happens kind of in between Matthew 26:20 and 21, right? So that's when the foot washing happens. Then in Matthew 26:21 through 25, right? 21 through 25 is, in the Matthew version, is the betrayal of Judas, which is also what we see next in John, right? John 13:21. So now in John 13:21 to about 20, in between 26 and 27, uh, is where Jesus says to Judas, "It is as you have said." So they run congruent, they run together. And so when Jesus says that, that happens in between verses 26 and 27 of John. Okay, so that's kind of where we are. And then, uh, it, they go into, after this, there's the Luke, in Luke, where the disciples are um, debating who's going to be the greatest, right? And then you got Peter's denial, which is the end of John chapter 13. That's 13:36. And then you have the sacraments, the breaking of the bread and the wine, and that takes place Matthew 26, 26 through 29. So they go all together, right? All together, and when you lay them next to each other, the whole picture unveils, right? The whole picture unveils. So that's sort of the order of how this all fits, and you've got to put put them um, next to each other to have the complete account, right? It's like when investigators are trying to figure out what happened in a crime, right? And you have all these witnesses' accounts, and they put together the timeline based off of testimonies, right? And then they figure out the evidence based off of the testimonies. They put together the timeline so they can lay out the narrative, and that's what we have here, right? We have the testimonies, we have the evidence, we have the witnesses, and we put together the timeline of the Last Supper, is what I attempted to do and tried to do. And I there's a harmony of the Gospels. It's actually a really, really good study tool. I suggest, if you want to deeply study the Gospels, you get that as a reference, um, or find a Bible that has parallel passages in it, and in the headings it'll tell you where else to go to read. My One of my favorite Bibles is this King James right here, and it has the parallel passages in it. You do have to flip back and forth, so the Harmony of the Gospels is a really good resource. It saves you all the flipping. Saves you all the flipping. So, back to John. So, one of you will betray me. After saying these things, Jesus was troubled in his spirit and testified, truly, truly, I said to you, one of you will betray me. The disciples looked at one another, uncertain of whom he spoke. One of his disciples, whom Jesus loved, was reclining at Jesus' side. So, at this time, this is the love feast. Okay, this is the love feast. They're kicking back, eating, and Jesus, he's troubled in his spirit because he already knows somebody's going to betray me. Okay, and then so that they're kicking back, and Simon Peter motioned to him that is whom Jesus loved, that was reclining by Jesus' side. Other versions say at his bosom. Okay, and Peter motioned him, like, come on, man, find out who, to ask Jesus of whom he was speaking. And so that disciple, leaning back against Jesus, said to him, Lord, who is it? Lord, who is it? And Jesus answered, it is he whom I will give this morsel of bread when I have dipped it. So when he had dipped it, he gave the morsel of bread. He had dipped the morsel, he gave it to Judas, the son of Simon Iscariot. Now here is where in Matthew, Judas says, surely it wasn't me. So that's Matthew 26:25. Then Judas, which betrayed him, answered and said, Master, is it I? He said unto him, Thou hast said. He said unto him, Thou hast said. Okay, then they go into the Lord's Supper. This is when they go into the Lord's Supper, right there. And so now no one at the table knew why he said this to him. Some thought that because Jesus had the money bag, Jesus was telling him, buy what we need for the feast, or that he should give something to the poor. So after receiving the morsel of bread, he immediately went out, and it was night. So he left. Okay, he left. Judas, right? I don't think Judas takes does the Lord's Supper. I don't think he does the Lord's Supper with them. So then, it comes to when he had gone out, Jesus said, now is the Son of Man to be glorified, and God glorified in him. So it's not until the betrayal that it can happen. It's not until Jesus' death that it is glorified, right? And so now is the Son of Man glorified. This is what is going to show, right? His death, his burial, his resurrection, when he comes back, the glory of God. The glory of God, the glory of Jesus being the Son of Man glorified, and God is glorified in him, is his victory. His victory over death and his victory over sin on the cross. Okay? That is what shows, that is the glory of God, right? That is what shows it. And so a new commandment I give to you, right? A new commandment I give to you. I give to you, love one another just as I have loved you. You also are to love one another. By this, all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. Now, there's no church. There's no body if we don't love each other, if we don't love the brethren, if we don't love one another, right? And so this commandment is what unifies the church. This is how people know we are disciples of the Lord, right? There's not just one disciple. The discipleship has been passed down to us through the church, right? And so what makes us known is our love for the brethren. That can't be overstated enough. That can't be overstated enough. That is what distinguishes us. It's a selflessness for our for our brothers and sisters, right? For the church. And it says, by this, all people will know that you are my disciples if you have love for one another. And that doesn't just mean disciples will know. That means unbelievers. That means every person in every nation, in every language, can speak the universal language of the church. We love each other. We love the brethren. Now, it's not goo-goo love. It's the edification type love. It's the love of jumping in the hole with a brother and walking them through it, not turning against them in a when they're down or in a sinful position or whatever. It's walking with them in the mud, coming out on the other side and washing their feet, right? And washing our feet. And I think that is literally washing them, and also the figurative or the I'm at a loss for the words, but the actual doing it in life, right? It's a both, right? It's not, is this literal or figurative? No, it's both. Literally, we should wash each other's feet, and the figurative, help a brother in love through sanctification, work through their sanctification, right? That is also washing another's feet. And so it's both, right? It's both. So have love for one another. So I do want to. I'm gonna end it here because time got away from me. Anyway, check it out yourselves. Check it out yourselves. See if you can put together the timeline. And I guess for some people it doesn't matter, right? I guess it doesn't matter, but it matters, right? It doesn't matter, but it matters. If the Lord convicts you on it to study it and wants you to try and figure it out, and that's something that you're wrestling with, you go all in, right? Go all in. If it's not, and you're studying through a book and you want to look at one book by itself, go all in, right? Go all in. However you're convicted in your relationship with the Lord, be convicted and go all in, right? All right, guys. Have a good weekend.